Hi everybody, hope you're having an awesome day. I know I am. Hey, guess what I'm going to talk about today? So I thought I'd talk about alcohol, just because of the fact it's Super Bowl weekend. Um, uh, Valentine's is coming up the following week, so a lot going on, some celebrating going on, some get-togethers going on, all kinds of activities going on. So I know I've had a couple people have asked me, say, "Hey, can we have alcohol? Can we drink while we're doing keto?" So I guess I'd kind of like to make that as part of one of the topics. I'll try to make it quick and easy. I do have my notes over here again. You'll see me. It's just because I want to try to stay on some topics and I want to make sure that I'm covering everything. I'll try to make it short and sweet. So first, I guess we need to understand a little bit about keto and alcohol and how keto works. And when you're in ketosis, your liver is producing ketones, right? So and really those ketones are turning the fat into energy, which are turning more into more ketones, and it's kind of a vicious cycle. And that's why it's such a great way to lose weight. Well, one of the things that does happen is when you start drinking alcohol, it's kind of like a foreign invader in your body, right? So your body doesn't know what quite to do with it. So as you're drinking, it actually starts to feed on it, right? So the ketones actually start to feed off of the sugar and stop using the fat for the energy and burning the fat. So if you do drink, just to be aware that you won't necessarily kick yourself out of ketosis, but your body may not burn fat like it was. So you may have a few days where you're going to stall, or a week where you may not show a whole lot of progress. But just to kind of keep that in mind and reference, so it doesn't kick you out of ketones. So yes, you can drink when you're doing keto, right? So it really doesn't kick you out of ketosis, but it does cause an adverse effect in your liver. So it starts to burn the sugar in the sugar alcohol versus the fat in your body. So it will slow down a little bit as you're losing your weight, or if you're in your weight loss journey. So that was kind of one of the things. I wanted to make sure that it was clear on that and everybody understood that. And the other one is too is that as you get into ketosis and as you're doing keto, a lot of your body sheds a lot of extra water that your body has. So part of that is your electrolytes. So as you flush your body out and you have less fluid in your body and you have less water in your body, guess what? When you drink, your alcohol consumption has a more dramatic effect on you too, right? So that means that if you're in ketosis and you're doing keto, that you're probably going to get drunk a little easier, or a couple of drinks are going to affect you a little differently than it was before. So know that your tolerance difference may have shifted a little bit. So you got to be really careful when you're drinking because of the fact that you have probably less of a tolerance. So when you're eating carbs and everything else, a lot of that alcohol is absorbed into the gluten that you're eating and a lot of the food that you're eating. And when you're not doing when you're in a low carb state, you don't have all that gluten and you don't have all that stuff absorbing all that alcohol and working it through you. So it may affect you differently. So just be cautious while you're out there and you're doing that. And you need to really think about we're drinking, slow down, take it easy, don't have a whole lot of drinks. So, and with that said, just kind of talk a little bit about if you drink and you do have a little bit more to drink, or drink as much as you normally do, and it's quite a bit, that you may have a little bit of a hangover in the morning because of the fact that you don't have those electrolytes that you would normally have in your bloodstream. So some of that is just that you got to realize that those electrolytes would help you keep the water in your body and help you more hydrated. So therefore, it would process some of the alcohol faster. Whereas when you're dehydrated, and also plus drinking on top of that, and that's a diuretic as well, I guess as well. So they would say. So that depletes some of the water in you as well. So much like soda does as well. So as it draws more water out of you, so you have less water in you because of your drinking. So therefore, you can actually end up with a hangover the next day. So I would say that if you're going to drink that night before, you start drinking, start thinking about how do I boost my electrolytes. Putting some pink salt in your water when you're drinking a glass of water. I put it in my coffee every morning anyway. Doing things of that nature that will help boost your electrolytes, right? So drinking more water in general itself. Then you may want to even thinking about boosting your carbs just slightly a little bit, just to make sure that you can help compensate, depending on how much you plan on drinking, some of those things. So I just wanted to kind of cover those couple of things, right? So some of the alcohol options, right? So the great thing about alcohol is it's an alcohol sugar, right? And we all know that alcohol sugar, if you're doing net carbs, counts as 0, right? So whatever the alcohol sugar content is in alcohol, it actually ends up minusing itself. So most of the hard liquors are really carb-free. So things like the gin, the vodkas, some nice Filipino rum. I don't know if you can see that. Some nice Filipino rum, right? Those are all pretty much 0 carbs, right? So these, again, won't have any adverse fact of kicking you out of ketosis or anything, but they could possibly, like again, slow down some of the fat burning if you're in a weight loss journey and expect to stall a little bit for a few days if you're doing that. So just so you know, so really, so those choices are, the rums and the alcohols. The tequila's fine. Let's see what I'm missing. Whiskey, rye, scotch. Those are all really good to drink when you're going. Now, I will caution you. Now, the carbs may be 0, but they do add a lot of calories. So you got to take that into factor too, and just think about it. So maybe you want to take it easy and have just a couple of drinks instead of drinking a whole bottle. Just because it may be carb free, but it's not calorie free. So you got to be cautious about that. Now, I try not to worry too much about my calories. I know if I track my carbs, my protein, and my fat, and I hit my macros on those, I'm sorry, I keep saying micros, it's macros on those, that everything is good and I will be successful in what I'm doing, right? Whether I'm maintaining or whether I'm losing. But with this, when you're eating this, it stalls the fat burning. It adds a lot of extra calories to it again. So you just need to be careful, right? So just be cautious. So those are the ones. So any of these, the hard liquors are fine. Now, when we get into wines and beers, it's a little different, right? So they have a lot of natural sugars in them. I took this off my wine rack because of the fact this is probably one of my favorite wines. My wife and I usually have 2 or 3 bottles of these on our wine rack. We do drink occasionally, have a glass of wine and sit down. I'm not gonna say all the time, but every once in a while. So this is what it looks like. I don't know if you can see it, but Hess is the brand, and it's a Cabernet. So I will tell you that if dry red wines are much lower carb than some of the other ones. So this is, for a glass of this, is about 4 carbs. So it's not carb free, so you gotta keep that into mind. So a glass or 2 of it is okay, provided you've kind of know what else you've eaten. So again, it's really, really good wine. So we drink a lot of the red wines. We don't drink very many white wines. White wines tend to be quite a bit higher in carbs, so we kind of stay away from those a little bit. So just kind of going into that. Beer, again, is another story. We'll get into that in a minute. I do want to say that the thing that with the hard drinks is that you need to really, really watch the mixers. So we like to make margaritas. So this is a mango margarita mix that we have. And it's really like a heavy syrup. But I will tell you that this, with the with the tequila that we have mixed together, this is the issue. So This margarita mix, if I read it, and the reason I put it out here because I just want to read it, this has 44 grams of carbs in it, right? So 43 of those are from sugar. So this is really, really heavily involved with sugars and making it really thick and syrupy. So when you're mixing them, you have to be really cautious with the mixes, right? So be very, very cautious with the mixes. Look at the mixes. You're best to go with some kind of diet mix today that you can get. Have a rum in a Diet Coke, right? Or a rum in a Sprite, or some gin and tonic water. And I would go with those type of things. Now, cautious that you got to be careful. Oh, I should say that. So, speaking of tonic water, right? So I should say gin and soda, right? Because tonic water actually has a lot of carbs in it, right? So you don't want to drink gin and tonic, right? So if you drink gin and tonic, you want to switch to a gin and a soda, or sparkling soda water, just because that sparkling soda is carb free, whereas the tonic water has something like 33 carbs in it. So it's not carb free. It's not water. It's more like a sugary, watery mix. So you want to make sure that what you're drinking and really look at that what you're adding these to. So like I said, the rum and putting it in Diet Coke or Coke Zero, right, would be much better than drinking this with a regular Coke or some other sugary drink, or like I say, the gin or the vodka. Instead of having orange juice, look for some alternative to mix with the vodka, or mixing it with something else that has low carb content, because that's what's going to kill you is the mixes, right? I would say there's a variety out there that you can do, and you can use substitutes and stuff like that. So like if you make old fashions or anything like that, they put sugar in it. So instead of putting sugar in it, use monk fruit. And some are in tonic water. Instead of using tonic water, use soda water. Things of that nature. You can use the lacrosses. The lacrosse is a pretty good mix. It's like a sparkling water that you can drink. It's good with the alcohol. I'm not such a big fan of them just outright, but when you mix them with something and put some ice in them, they actually are pretty good. That's the way I kind of like them. So there's a lot. So instead of making and using 44 carbs in a mix like this to make a margarita, you could put some lime juice in it and put a little bit of monk fruit in with it and mix it in with the tequila. And guess what? You have a drink that's like 3 carbs instead of 44 carbs. So just kind of look and see. Hey, if you're interested in seeing drinks and actually seeing some recipes for drinks, comment below and let me know. Also, if you like this content and you like the video, again, subscribe. Tell me what you think. Tell me if you drink on a regular basis and what you drink, and what are your favorite drinks. I will tell you, there's whiskey sours that you can make and daiquiris that you can make, and there's all kinds of stuff out there that you can make keto friendly and get away from the traditional drinks just by instead of using the mixes and stuff like that and the syrups, by using real lime juice or soda water, and using some kind of substitute sugar, whether it be erythritol or monk fruit or some other. So there's a lot of them. So if you look at what you're making the drink and how you're making them, whether it's a mojito or any of those things, old fashions, margaritas, whiskey sours, whatever, you can still make them, but you got to use them with the right ingredients so that they're pretty low carbs. So that's one of the things. So there's all kinds of cocktails and stuff of that you can make it too. So you kind of get the idea. Bloody Marys. There's a make for that. So you want to make Bloody Marys or Irish coffees, and all you're doing is you're just replacing the sugar in it with sugar and the cream in it with heavy cream and some monk fruit or something of that nature, right? So we do come back to the beer and wine. I do spend a couple minutes on them, but like I said, we drink the red wines. The dry red wines tend to be much lower in carbs. When you get into the fruity wines, the port wines and the dessert wines, the Moscatis, things of that nature, generally because they're higher in fruit, they tend to be very high in carbs. Same with even the white wines. So they tend to be much higher in carbs. So go easy on them. Check them out. I personally myself, I don't think we've drank in a bottle of white wine, my wife and I, in probably, a year or two maybe. So it's been basically the red wines and different red wine. Now they are starting to come up with a lot of different brands now that are actually being much more conscious. I can't say I've tried any of them that are like the skinny wines, they call them, that actually are low carb wines. So you can check them out if you want. Let me know if you tried them. Let me know down below what you think of them and are they good or not good, because maybe we'll get one and try one time as well. Beer is another story, because beer has kind of a double-edged sword. So when you're drinking beer, it's made out of barleys and hops and wheats, and it's all those grains materials that's fermented and are made into beer. So beer generally in a 12-ounce can or bottle has probably between 10 and 25 carbs depending on the beer. So they're all over the place. So you got to be really careful. The other thing about beers is also, just because of the wheat and stuff like that, they have a lot of cause inflammation in your body. So you just kind of going to be cautious about that as well. Now they have a lot of low carb beers, so you can drink a low carb beer and still stay within your carbs. Some of the beers, the Michelob Ultras and stuff of that nature. Personally myself, I don't think I've drinking a beer in almost 2 years. It's been a long time since I can remember having a beer, just because of the fact, because it does have all the grains in it and stuff like that. And I'm trying to stay away from that kind of stuff because of the inflammation it causes your body, and you'd be surprised the aches and pains and stuff of that nature that you're going to get from it. So, another good option to drink is the seltzer drinks. There's one out there called White Clam that's actually pretty good. That's low carb, and it's using seltzer water and alcohol together mixed. Again, it depends on your taste and whether you like it or don't like it. I know there's White Clam, and there's 3 or 4 others out there that there's a couple of the names that I can remember. I kind of searched a little bit for. There was that High Noon. There's also Bud Light Seltzer now has come out too. So that's like 2 carbs or something like that for a can of it. So look at those tonic water drinks. So rather than drinking the Mike's Hard Lemonades or the Seagram 7 Hard Lemonades or something of that nature, try the seltzer water ones. You'll see that they're a lot lower in carb. They're a lot better for you. So I guess the question has come around is, should you really drink if you're doing keto? And the answer is that's up to you, right? So again, keep all these things in mind when you do that. If you're driving, don't drive. Take a taxi, get a ride share, because it is going to affect you differently than you were before. So just be cautious about that and know that, right? So make sure that you do eat before you go out and have a few drinks, because of the fact if you do have something in you, you will drink less, you'll drink slower. So just the cautions about that. So one of the other side effects that could happen if you're drinking and you drink too much is, after all said and done, everybody wants to go get something to eat at 2 o'clock in the morning. So you go out and you got to be really cautious about where you're going and you're eating. And if you're going at 2 o'clock in the morning, it's probably to a fast food place. So kind of get to know what fast food has for low carb food, and you can eat pretty good most of the time at most of the places, McDonald's or Carl's or In-N-Out Burger or Hobbits or wherever you're from. You can eat pretty good if you know the low carb options that they have. So we have an In-N-Out on the West Coast, so the In-N-Outs actually have a secret menu. So if you go up and you order a Flying Dutchman, which is not on their menu, you won't see it, but if you go up and ask for it, it's actually 2 burgers with cheese, all by themselves, right? So, so perfect, right? So you just got to know what your options are and go out there, and don't just go out there and then spoil the whole thing because you had a cheat meal. And you had a cheat meal, it's no big deal. You just get back on the bandwagon tomorrow and start again tomorrow. Don't go, oh no, I messed all up, and stop doing it, right? So you want to just keep right on going, right? So really, you know, kind of to end it all, I just want to remind you, so if you do drink, it may slow down your weight progress for a day or 2 days, a week, or a month. I wouldn't say a month, or for a week, a couple days, or a week, and then get back right on the track, right? So just keep that in mind. You know, hangovers may happen, so just be cautious on how much you drink. It may affect you a little differently, so again, be cautious of what you drink. Make sure you're drinking the hard liquors, and try to stay away from those other ones that are not. If you're going to drink wine, try to drink the red wine. That's probably the best for you, right? Try to remember the sparkling waters, diet sodas, soda waters. Those are the things that you're going to put in your drinks to mix with them in mixers, because those are the healthiest for you. So, and then just if you're mixing drinks, you know, use artificial sweeteners like, say, the monk fruit and the erythritol to mix in with them instead of regular sugar. Use other things. Instead of using a syrup, use lime juice of something of that nature, or some lemon juice, right? So those things there with a little bit of sugar are much better than this. So just kind of think that, you know. So just try to be cautious and careful. Hey, if you like this video, thumbs up, subscribe down below. Let me know what you think, and I'll talk to you next time. Have a great day.